Destiny is often misunderstood as something imposed from the outside, as though life were a rigid script written by an invisible hand. Yet from a psychological perspective, destiny unfolds from within. It is patterned through the structure of the psyche, through tendencies, unresolved conflicts, inherited dispositions, and the quiet aims of the deeper self. What appears to happen to us repeatedly is rarely random. We are drawn into similar situations, similar relationships, and similar emotional experiences because something within us seeks development. The outer world becomes the stage upon which inner patterns reveal themselves. When a particular person continues to reappear in your thoughts or circumstances, it may not be chance at all. It may be the psyche insisting on attention. Destiny, in this sense, is not exaggeration or fantasy. It is the gradual revelation of what has always been forming beneath consciousness. We participate in shaping it through our awareness or our avoidance. The more unconscious we remain, the more fate feels imposed. The more conscious we become, the more destiny feels like participation in a meaningful unfolding. Consider how certain encounters alter the direction of your inner life. Not every meeting carries weight, yet some interactions leave a mark that does not fade. This enduring impact suggests that something archetypal has been activated. An archetype is not a mystical ornament of language. It is a fundamental pattern of human experience. When activated, it generates strong emotion, fascination, or resistance. These reactions signal that the event touches something larger than surface preference. Destiny operates through such activations. It organizes our growth by bringing us into contact with people and circumstances that awaken dormant aspects of ourselves. If the same emotional theme repeats across different relationships, the pattern becomes clearer. The psyche is not punishing you, it is guiding you. It arranges symbolic repetitions so that what was once unconscious can become known. To ignore the repetition is to postpone growth. To reflect upon it is to step into dialogue with your own unfolding path. When we speak of destiny in psychological terms, we do not deny personal responsibility. On the contrary, responsibility increases. If destiny is patterned from within, then awareness becomes crucial. You are not a passive recipient of events, but a participant in a dynamic process. A recurring person in your life may symbolize an unfinished task within your character. Perhaps they mirror your unacknowledged strengths, your suppressed fears, or your capacity for courage. The task is not to romanticize the connection nor to dramatize it. The task is to understand it. Destiny becomes constructive when you engage with its signals thoughtfully. By examining why certain individuals matter so deeply, you begin to see the architecture of your inner world. In that recognition, destiny shifts from something that happens to you into something that unfolds through you. There are individuals who enter your life and seem to awaken something disproportionate to the length of the encounter. You may have known them briefly, or circumstances may have separated you long ago, yet their presence continues to stir thought and emotion. This is often a sign that unconscious material has been activated. The psyche contains layers that extend beyond immediate awareness, holding memories, unexpressed desires, fears, and potentials that have not yet found language. When a particular person triggers intense admiration, irritation, longing, or resistance, it is rarely about them alone. They function as a catalyst. Something within you recognizes an unfinished element of your own development. The encounter becomes charged because it touches a deeper layer of your inner structure. What you experience as attraction or conflict may in fact be the psyche attempting to reveal itself. Such moments should not be dramatized, yet they should not be dismissed. They are invitations to self-knowledge disguised as relationship. Often, we attribute the intensity entirely to the other person. We say they are extraordinary, difficult, magnetic, or incomprehensible. While these descriptions may contain truth, they do not explain why the reaction feels so personal. The unconscious operates through projection. Qualities that we have not fully recognized in ourselves are seen vividly in another. Strength we have not claimed appears as their confidence. Vulnerability we have denied appears as their weakness. Creativity we have postponed appears as their talent. In this way, the other becomes a living mirror. The emotional charge signals that something within us seeks integration. If we remain unaware of this process, we become entangled in illusion, believing the other holds the key to our completeness. If we become conscious of it, the encounter transforms into a path of growth. The person who activates your unconscious is not merely part of your story by accident. They are part of the psychological process through which you become more whole. To respond wisely to such activation requires reflection rather than impulse. Instead of asking only what this person feels about you, consider what awakens within you in their presence. Do you feel diminished, expanded, challenged, inspired, unsettled? These reactions are clues. They point toward neglected capacities or unresolved conflicts. When someone repeatedly appears in your thoughts, it may be because the psyche has not yet resolved what they symbolize. The task is not necessarily to restore the relationship, nor to sever it abruptly, but to understand its meaning. By examining the unconscious material stirred by the encounter, you reclaim what was projected outward. In doing so, you reduce dependency on external validation and strengthen inner stability. The person remains significant, yet their significance shifts. They are no longer merely an object of emotion, but a teacher in the process of individuation, helping you uncover dimensions of yourself that might otherwise remain hidden. There are times when events align in ways that seem too precise to dismiss. You think of someone after months of silence, and shortly after, their name appears before you. You attempt to close a chapter, yet circumstances quietly reopen it. Such experiences are often labeled coincidence, yet their emotional weight suggests something more meaningful. The psyche is not separate from the world it perceives. Inner states and outer events sometimes correspond in ways that reveal an underlying pattern. These moments do not require superstition, nor do they demand exaggeration. They invite reflection. When a particular person re-enters your awareness through repeated and timely occurrences, it may indicate that an inner process is seeking completion. The event becomes symbolic. It mirrors something unfolding within you. Rather than asking whether fate is intervening, consider what part of your inner life resonates so strongly with the appearance. Meaningful coincidence does not force action, but it does request attention. It signals that the boundary between inner and outer experience is more porous than we assume. Such moments often arise during periods of transition. When you stand at a threshold in your life, old figures may return in thought or reality. This is not necessarily about rekindling what once was. It may be about understanding what was left unresolved. The psyche tends toward wholeness. If an experience ended abruptly, if words remained unspoken, or if insight was postponed, the pattern may repeat until awareness develops. The recurrence is not punishment, it is an opportunity. Life presents the symbol again so that you may engage it differently. When outer events align with inner preoccupation, the message is subtle but clear. Something within you requires recognition. To ignore the pattern entirely is to risk repeating it unconsciously. To approach it with curiosity is to participate in your own development. Meaningful coincidence becomes transformative only when met with conscious reflection. It is important, however, not to romanticize every repetition. Discernment remains essential. Not every unexpected encounter carries profound significance. The key lies in the emotional intensity and the persistence of the pattern. If the experience stirs deep reflection, if it challenges your understanding of yourself, then it deserves thoughtful consideration. Ask what aspect of your character, your past, or your aspiration is symbolized by this person's reappearance. Perhaps they represent courage you once lacked, boundaries you failed to establish, or forgiveness you have not yet extended. The outer event may simply be the visible expression of an inner demand. In recognizing this, you shift from passive interpretation to active engagement. Meaningful coincidence then becomes less about destiny imposed from above and more about dialogue between your conscious awareness and the deeper structure of your psyche. There are recognitions in life that occur before reason has time to intervene. You meet someone and, without clear evidence, you sense familiarity. It is not based on shared history nor on visible similarity, yet something within you responds as though remembering rather than discovering. The ego struggles to justify this reaction because it relies on logic, preference, and measurable experience. The soul, however, moves differently. It responds to symbolic resonance. Beneath conscious awareness lies a deeper center of the personality, often described as the self, which seeks balance and integration. When another person reflects an aspect aligned with this inner center, recognition can arise instantly. It may feel calming or unsettling, but it carries depth. This does not mean the person is flawless or destined for permanence in your life. It means they have touched a layer of you that precedes explanation. The experience invites reflection rather than impulse. Instead of rushing to define the connection, observe what awakens in you. The soul's recognition is subtle. It asks for awareness, not dramatization. Very often, the ego interferes with this recognition. It categorizes, compares, and protects established identity. If the encounter challenges your self-image or disrupts your plans, resistance appears. You may dismiss the feeling as imagination or exaggerate it into fantasy. Both reactions distort the message. The deeper psyche does not speak in extremes. It communicates through symbols, intuitions, and emotional undertones. When someone continues to occupy your thoughts without clear cause, it may be because they embody qualities your conscious personality has not yet integrated. Perhaps they live with a courage you suppress, or carry a vulnerability you avoid acknowledging in yourself. The recognition, then, is not solely about them. It is about you encountering a hidden dimension of your own being. To reduce the experience to mere attraction or irritation is to overlook its psychological significance. The soul recognizes what the ego has not yet understood because it perceives wholeness as its aim. To respond maturely to such recognition requires patience. Instead of asking what this person will become in your life, ask what this experience reveals about your inner development. The deeper self seeks harmony between opposing tendencies within you. Encounters that stir profound awareness often highlight these tensions. You may feel drawn forward and held back at the same time. This conflict signals growth. The soul's recognition does not guarantee comfort. It signals potential transformation. By reflecting on why the connection feels meaningful, you begin integrating what was previously unconscious. Whether the relationship continues or fades becomes secondary to the insight gained. What matters is that you have listened carefully. In doing so, you align more closely with the deeper direction of your life, guided not by impulse alone, but by an attentive dialogue between ego and soul. There are relationships that do not end when circumstances separate two people. Even after distance, silence, or deliberate closure, something remains active within the inner world. You may find yourself replaying conversations, imagining different outcomes, or feeling emotion that seems disproportionate to the present reality. This persistence often indicates that the experience was not fully digested by the psyche. Human beings require psychological completion. When an encounter carries strong emotion but lacks understanding, the energy does not simply disappear. It settles into the unconscious and waits. The mind may attempt to move forward, yet the unresolved feeling continues to echo. This is not weakness, it is the natural tendency of the psyche to seek balance. An unfinished emotional experience binds not because of obsession, but because meaning has not yet been extracted. Until insight replaces confusion, or forgiveness replaces resentment, the inner connection remains alive. Unfinished experiences frequently involve suppressed expression. Perhaps you withheld truth to maintain harmony. Perhaps pride prevented apology. Perhaps fear silenced vulnerability. In such cases, the relationship becomes suspended rather than concluded. The psyche recognizes that something authentic was interrupted. What remains unspoken carries weight. Over time, this weight may manifest as recurring dreams, intrusive thoughts, or unexpected waves of emotion when reminded of the person. These signs should not be exaggerated into destiny, yet they should not be dismissed as trivial. They signal that part of your emotional life seeks articulation. Often we attempt to solve this discomfort by focusing on the other person, wondering whether reunion would resolve everything. Yet resolution begins within. The essential task is to confront what you felt, what you avoided, and what you learned. When understanding deepens, the emotional charge gradually softens, regardless of external outcome. Completion does not always require renewed contact. Sometimes it requires an internal shift. You may need to acknowledge your own mistakes without self-condemnation. You may need to release unrealistic expectations placed upon the other. In some cases, genuine reconciliation is appropriate. In others, quiet acceptance is healthier. The determining factor is clarity. When you understand why the bond felt so strong and why it lingers, you reclaim authority over your inner life. The binding force weakens because its message has been heard. Unfinished emotional experiences are not punishments. They are invitations to maturity. They teach you about your needs, your limits, and your capacity for growth. When you allow yourself to reflect honestly rather than react impulsively, what once felt like an inescapable tie becomes an integrated chapter of your development. In this way, the past no longer imprisons you. It informs you, strengthens you, and ultimately allows you to move forward with greater consciousness. There is a peculiar force that sometimes binds one person to another with surprising intensity. You may call it chemistry, fascination, or emotional gravity, yet beneath these descriptions often lies the mechanism of projection. Projection occurs when qualities that belong to your own unconscious are attributed to someone else. These qualities may be admirable traits you have not yet developed, or weaknesses you refuse to acknowledge. When projected outward, they appear vivid and compelling. The other person seems unusually significant because they carry aspects of your own hidden nature. The attachment feels fated, not because destiny has chained you, but because the psyche longs to reclaim what it has disowned. This magnetic pull can be uplifting or destabilizing. It may inspire growth, or it may create confusion if left unconscious. The essential point is not to deny the attraction or the aversion, but to question it. What is it in this person that moves you so deeply? The answer often reveals more about your inner life than about their objective character. Projection is not a flaw. It is a natural psychological process. It allows us to encounter parts of ourselves indirectly. However, when we fail to recognize it, we become entangled in illusion. We may believe that the other person holds the key to our happiness, our stability, or our identity. This belief intensifies attachment and can distort perception. We exaggerate virtues or magnify faults because we are not seeing clearly. The magnetism feels powerful because it is fueled by psychic energy-seeking integration. If you find yourself repeatedly drawn to a particular type of person or unable to detach from someone despite clear reasons, consider the possibility of projection. Ask yourself which qualities you admire or resent most strongly in them. Then ask whether these qualities exist, even in subtle form, within you. This reflection does not diminish the connection, it clarifies it. Awareness reduces illusion and restores balance. When projection becomes conscious, the relationship transforms. The other person no longer carries the burden of embodying your unlived potential or denied shadow. You begin to reclaim those aspects as your own responsibility. The magnetic intensity may soften, yet what remains is more authentic. You can then relate to the person as they truly are, not as a screen for your unconscious material. In some cases, the bond deepens because it is grounded in reality rather than fantasy. In other cases, distance naturally occurs because the projection was the primary glue. Either outcome contributes to growth. The purpose of recognizing projection is not to sever meaningful ties, but to mature within them. When you withdraw the illusion and integrate what was once projected, you move closer to psychological wholeness. The attachment that once felt mysterious becomes understandable, and through that understanding, you gain greater freedom in how you choose to proceed. There are relationships that seem to follow you across different seasons of life, not always in physical presence, but in psychological impact. You may change environments, develop new habits, even adopt new beliefs, yet certain relational patterns reappear with striking similarity. This recurrence is not accidental. It signals that the process of individuation, the movement toward becoming a more integrated and authentic self, is still underway. Individuation does not occur in isolation. It unfolds through encounters that challenge your defenses and expose your unconscious tendencies. When a particular type of person repeatedly enters your life, or when one individual continues to occupy your inner world long after separation, it suggests that something essential has not yet been understood. The psyche does not repeat without reason. It repeats what requires consciousness. Instead of asking why this keeps happening to you, consider what aspect of yourself remains unexamined. The recurring relationship is not merely a personal drama. It is a mirror reflecting unfinished development. Often, we attempt to escape these patterns by altering external circumstances. We may end the connection abruptly, relocate, or declare firm resolutions about what we will no longer tolerate. While boundaries are necessary, they do not automatically dissolve unconscious dynamics. Without insight, the same pattern may return in a different form. Individuation requires courage to confront what feels uncomfortable. If you are consistently drawn to individuals who evoke insecurity, perhaps there is a fragile part of your identity seeking strengthening. If you repeatedly encounter partners who depend heavily on you, perhaps your need to feel indispensable requires examination. These reflections are not accusations. They are invitations. The recurring relationship carries symbolic meaning. It highlights traits, wounds, and aspirations that shape your personality. By observing the pattern without denial or self-condemnation, you begin to loosen its grip. Awareness transforms repetition into learning. To engage consciously with a recurring relationship is to step into responsibility for your own growth. This does not mean you must preserve every bond. Sometimes individuation requires separation. At other times it requires honest dialogue, forgiveness, or renewed effort. The crucial element is consciousness. Ask yourself what this connection has consistently taught you about your fears, your desires, and your limits. Notice where you compromise your authenticity and where you resist vulnerability. The relationship becomes a field of self-discovery. When its lesson is integrated, the emotional intensity often shifts. You no longer feel driven by compulsion, but guided by clarity. Individuation is not about perfection. It is about coherence within the self. Recurring relationships are among its most powerful instruments. By facing them thoughtfully, rather than fleeing or clinging blindly, you participate actively in your psychological maturation, allowing repetition to become transformation rather than fate. When people speak of a divine voice guiding their path, it is often imagined as something external, descending from beyond the human sphere. Yet, psychologically understood, this voice symbolizes the higher self, the central organizing principle of the psyche that moves a person toward wholeness. It does not speak in ordinary language, nor does it command with force. Instead, it expresses itself through intuition, recurring themes, dreams, persistent emotions, and the quiet sense that something meaningful is unfolding beneath daily events. When a particular person remains significant in your awareness despite time or distance, it may be the self drawing attention to unfinished integration. The experience feels guided because it touches something deeper than personal preference. The higher self seeks balance between conscious identity and unconscious potential. If someone continues to appear in your inner narrative, they may represent a fragment of that potential awaiting recognition. The divine voice, in this sense, is not mystical exaggeration. It is the psyche's inherent drive toward completeness. The ego often resists this guidance because it prefers stability and control. It defines life according to plans, logic, and immediate comfort. The self, however, is concerned with long-term development. It may lead you into encounters that challenge your self-image or disturb established patterns. This does not mean every persistent thought is sacred instruction. Discernment remains essential, yet when reflection reveals consistent symbolic meaning, the guidance becomes clearer. The person who lingers in your awareness might embody qualities you are called to cultivate, or confront aspects of your character you would rather ignore. The higher self communicates through these relational symbols because relationships expose the deepest layers of personality. They reveal dependency, strength, fear, generosity, and pride. By observing the emotional significance without exaggeration, you begin to hear the message beneath the surface. It is not commanding attachment or separation. It is urging consciousness. To respond to this inner guidance requires humility. Rather than asking whether the person is destined to remain in your life, ask what your development requires at this moment. The higher self does not seek dramatic outcomes. It seeks integration. Sometimes that means reconciliation and renewed connection. Sometimes it means acceptance and release. In both cases, the essential task is alignment with your deeper truth. When you listen carefully to the persistent symbols in your life, you move beyond impulse and fear. You begin to act from a more centered awareness. The divine voice, understood as the movement of the self, leads not toward dependency on another person, but toward inner coherence. If someone remains part of your destiny, it is because they have participated in shaping your becoming. Their significance lies not only in their presence, but in the transformation their presence has awakened within you.